this is Erica. I'm the manager of Sunset Strings. One question that a lot of our clients have is whether they should have acoustic music at their wedding or a musician who's performing on an electric instrument with amplification or with backing tracks. So this video is going to explore the pros and cons of both options so that you can decide which one would best fit your wedding. And if you want to skip ahead to the audio samples, those are the last couple minutes of the video. Okay, so let's start with acoustic music. Acoustic means there is no amplification. So if you picture a string quartet, it's 4 musicians holding an instrument and there's no cable, there's no speaker. So for the violin, that would be a violin that looks like this. It's the same kind of violin you would see in a concert or at a violin lesson when you're a kid. So there's no amplification of any kind for an acoustic instrument. Now, when we're talking about what type of weddings acoustic music is good for, if you want classical music for your wedding, then this is a really, really good option. The repertoire of classical music that's popular at weddings was literally written for these instruments, so it's going to sound really beautiful on them. Acoustic music is also great if your wedding is indoors, especially if it's in a smaller area. When you have things for the sound waves to bounce off of and come back to you on, like walls, like a ceiling, you're going to get a beautiful echo of sound, and you're also going to have a louder noise. So you're not going to have trouble hearing the instrument when you're indoors. When you might want to start thinking about amplification or about adding additional instruments is when your wedding is outdoors in a large area or if you have a large number of guests. If you're outdoors, there's nothing for those sound waves to hit. They're just going to keep traveling. And if you're a certain distance away from the instrument, you're really not going to hear it very well. So if you're outdoors and you have 20 guests and you have just a solo violinist, that's fine. Everyone will be able to hear that violinist. If you have about 200 guests, maybe consider amplification or additional instruments. You can still technically hear the violin, especially during the ceremony when everyone's silent. But during the prelude music, as your guests are arriving and they're all kind of chit-chatting, it can get very loud, and you really might not be able to hear just one instrument outdoors. When we talk about an electric violin, that's what this is. It doesn't look very much like an acoustic violin, but it sounds pretty similar. It's not exactly the same, but it's nothing like an electric guitar with all the distortions and the special effects and the noise. It's a very clean sound. So you play it with a regular bow, just like you do an acoustic violin. You can play the same kind of music, you can play classical music, but you would just plug this part into a cable and then plug that into a speaker. So it's going to give you some more volume if you have a larger wedding or an outdoor wedding and you wanted to have a solo violinist. This way all of your guests will be able to hear it and enjoy it. When you have electric violin, you can also have recorded backing tracks playing through that speaker as well. So the tracks are kind of like karaoke tracks, except the singer is removed and instead the violinist will be the one playing the melody. So this is a really good option if you want to have pop music, rock music, basically any type of top 40 style music at your wedding. That type of music was not written for string instruments. It can be played on an acoustic violin, but you are going to be missing kind of the beat and the rhythm that drives pop music. You would have mostly just the melody, and it would still be beautiful, but it would kind of be missing that energy that you're used to pop music having when you hear it on the radio. With this option, with the electric violin plus the tracks in the background, you would not be missing anything. You kind of get the best of both worlds. You have the music sound like it does in the radio, but you also have the enhancement of a live musician performing there in front of your guests. We call this the violinist DJ. And when our violinists play this way with the electric violin and with backing tracks at weddings, they get a lot of attention because people just have never seen this before. So if you're looking for something really special that no one else has at their wedding or something really memorable, then the violinist DJ is definitely the way to go. Now you can also have a larger ensemble play acoustic music and then have the backing tracks in the background. So that's great if, let's say, you have your heart set on having a string quartet at your wedding ceremony, but you want to walk down the aisle to a pop song and you want it to sound similar to what you're used to hearing when you listen to it on the radio. With this option, you would have it sound very similar because it's being played through the track, but you have the benefit of those musicians there performing live. So it's going to sound beautiful, it's going to look really impressive, and it's definitely kind of a showstopper moment at your wedding. Okay, so I've asked my husband, Dan, one of our violinists at Sunset Strings, to record the same song 4 times. So acoustic, electric, electric with tracks, and acoustic with tracks. That way you can see side by side how the song sounds depending on which option you want. So acoustic is very pretty. It's simple, but it's also elegant. So let's hear electric. Okay, so electric is really similar to acoustic, it's just louder. You might not be able to tell that because we're indoors in our music studio, but certainly if we were in a large space outdoors, it's definitely a lot louder on electric violin. That's so fun, isn't it? The tracks really do add something. They make it more upbeat, more lively, and you get that really great rhythm in the background. It's really good for a cocktail hour when everyone's mingling around. So that's electric with tracks. So acoustic with tracks is really similar to electric with tracks that you just heard before, but the violin is a little bit softer. So you'd want to choose this option if you're indoors, or if you're outdoors and you have more instruments, like if you had a duo, a trio, a quartet playing acoustically with tracks, that would be beautiful. Okay, well, I hope this has helped explain the pros and cons of the different options that you have when choosing music for your wedding. We haven't discussed budget. Anytime you're having amplification or tracks, that is increasing the amount of time that a musician has to spend setting up and carting the equipment and everything. So those options do increase the budget a little bit. If it's important to you to have amplification or to have those fun tracks in the background, this is definitely an area of your wedding where spending just a little bit extra will give you a really, really big return. So thank you so much for watching. Please contact me if you have any questions about the video, and bye-bye.